Welcome back to the Patient Magnet Podcast. My name is Jared Rohr. I'm the owner and founder of Aesthetic Conversion, a marketing agency specifically built for the field of aesthetic medicine. And in the Patient Magnet, we talk about how to build out an effective marketing and sales funnel for your clinic so that you can add more patients into your book and have a super smooth day-to-day in your business. And I'm joined today by a very, very impressive client of ours that I've had the pleasure of working with Lexi for the last handful of years and seen her scale significantly just during that time. And I said, man, Lexi, I think so many people would benefit from hearing your story, hearing how you scaled to where you are today. And just for a little bit of a little taste is that she started as a single chair esthetician, renting a room, renting a chair like most estheticians that are starting their businesses. And now she has a full-on med spa. She's got a medical director. She's got a bunch of employees. She's kicking butt. And I think that a lot of people could benefit from hearing your story, Lexi. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is my first podcast. So you're the best person to do it with.
Well, I think you're going to do a great job on your first podcast, and people need to hear your voice.
Yeah.
So, Lexi, you want to maybe give everybody a little summary of who you are, a little summary of Ageless, or maybe like your esthetician experience, just a little background on who you are and your business.
Yeah, totally. My name's Lexi. I have been in the field practicing for coming up on 6 years. I started in a solo salon. It was just me, myself, and my little bed. And now we have a 6 treatment room office that is actually in the hometown that I grew up in. And we are adding devices, adding providers, and just kind of staying up with the times because as you know, it's changing every single day.
Constantly. And you're doing a very good job, especially, I mean, I have more insight into it, but you're doing a very good job of adopting new modalities and new services into your clinic to make sure that it serves the greater community.
Yeah.
Are you, I feel like you're constantly doing research on that too, right?
Yeah, I think it starts with, I mean, obviously I started by myself with just like products in my hands, and a lot of my clients were people that like never even had a facial. So I think it's cool that they've grown too, which now they're like, I don't want the fluffy facial anymore. I want the laser, or I do want to add Botox and fillers. So it's nice that they're kind of growing with Ageless. It's not, I mean, we do have some clients that come in and they've been getting this stuff done for years, but they're growing as we grow. So I know what treatments or devices or anything to bring in that's going to be specific to our clientele, where I know some people kind of go in blind and just buy the hottest device because Kim Kardashian put it on her face or body, where you have to
Yeah.
be very careful because they cost as much as like houses. They're so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, and more so in some cases. Like the devices are super and a lot of these device companies, not all of them, I will say, but a lot of them, the reps are just saying anything they can to get that device in your hands,
Mhm.
and making lots of promises that are not realistic. I will say there's a handful of companies that I've seen be very integrous. They can see if somebody really can't afford a device, they back off and they try to tell that clinic, hey, you go grow, then buy our device.
Mhm.
But a lot of device companies, they're happy to take your money, and it's 250 grand sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's something that you have to be super careful about. And I think meeting the right reps and the right people who are kind of going to guide you, especially if it's your first purchase. Like my first device that I bought was Jet Peel from Nilo Aesthetics, and they were very much like, this is going to be like a family onboarding. We're going to help you with A, B, and C. And still to this day, I bought that device 4 or 5 years ago, and I talk to them and have a good relationship with them. And they're still evolving with new technologies that they're coming out with the device, which is nice because, again, you have to stay up with the times.
Of course. Now, when you launched Ageless 6 years ago, had you been an esthetician in somebody else's business, or did you just full send, learn how to do everything, and then just grab your own chair?
No, it was full send. I moved to Scottsdale after college with my boyfriend at the time, and there's a med spa on every single corner. And I was very interested in
Yeah.
what that life or that career path was like. So I worked at a med spa on the weekends. and I did social media for them, and I was in the treatment room, and I saw all things from like acne to anti-aging, devices, products, and everything like that. And then I eventually broke up with a guy, moved home, went to school, and then just full send opened up 4 days before COVID.
Wow. Wow. Broke up with the guy for the better. She got married this last year and is happy as a clam.
Yeah.
I literally clarified before we started filming. I was like, we say the new last name Blacko, right? Because I've had her in my phone as Lexi Scott for years. Um, um, now, how often are you in the treatment room now that you have that you have all these treatment rooms and employees? Are you there a couple days a week, or are you still treating like crazy?
I'm still treating 5 to 6 days a week, especially around the holidays because
Dang.
everyone wants their faces done.
Of course, and they want it done by you. Are you wanting to work your way out of that?
I think when we have a family, I would like to go down to maybe 4 days a week, three being the least. I just think that, I don't know, I think I can make it work. My mom said that she would watch kids when we have them one day, and I feel like this is my first baby, so I don't know, I could
Yeah,
never fully go away and just work from the back end. I think my hands always need to be in the pot.
touching the patients. That's very cool. Are now do you? This is a structural question. This is more just curiosity. Are you mostly like when it comes to you being the owner, having employees, having a compensation plan, are you paying yourself as an employee as well? Like where it's like you pay yourself the similar way that you would pay if you're doing a treatment, you're getting whatever. Obviously, you're the owner too, so you're getting owner draws and owner dividends or whatever from the top line. But are you also treating yourself like an employee while you're in the room with the patient?
Yes, so I treat myself like an employee because, like I said, with like the device payments and stuff, I don't think people know how much the overhead is. Like, we do an order with Galderma for $16,000, and that's not even like the only one we do for a month. And that's not
Yeah,
the consumables for some of the devices that we have. So, like, a lot of what I make, and the girls know that, a lot of what I make goes right back into the business because
100%.
you want to have more devices. You want to have, like, we did a build out last year to add on four more rooms. That cost $50,000. Like, I don't think people realize that I don't even own this building. So when I walk away, if I want to go to a bigger space, like, I lose that. That doesn't come with me.
Man, yeah, I think employees typically will they'll miss that. They'll be like, "Oh God, yeah, you are paying a whole lot." Like, for me, my I bought this really cool. I'm not wearing it right now. I've been wearing it every day, but I bought this like really cool watch
Mhm.
the other week because we had this big growth or whatever, and it wasn't like unbearably expensive, but it was definitely a little pricey, and I told her, I was like, did you see a receipt hit my email? She goes, yeah. I was like- and, and I was like, I know, I thought it would be cool to just get this and mark the occasion or whatever. She goes, Jared, I don't think I've ever seen you buy something for yourself once. She goes, you're entitled to do some nice things for yourself
Yeah.
occasionally because I do the same thing. I dump 100% of the money right back into the business.
hmm And it's your money, and which I would do. Like, I don't regret any of it. I would continue, and I still continue to dump it in, but it's your time too. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people don't realize, like, when I first started, I would go in at 7 a.m. and where my solar salon was, it was like inside of a like little boutique mall. I would sit there from 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. for one eyebrow wax to come in. And I was like so thankful that that lady just like happened to walk in and had bushy eyebrows and like she loved her results. And then she told her friend. And like, I don't think people realize that you literally are like a sitting duck for the like first couple months and years and just like praying that it works. And just
What'd you do to busy yourself during that? Like when you're just like not doing anything, what were you doing when you weren't treating people, especially when you were a solopreneur?
Social media. I think with opening 4 days before COVID, we obviously had to shut down, and it was like the purge. Like, we got a phone call, and it was like, you have 13 hours to your key will be deactivated, blah, blah, blah. So we went in, got like all the product off the shelves, which wasn't much because again, you're in like a tiny little suite. And I was like, how am I going to make it? I literally saw 4 people in those 4 days of being open. And that's when like the whole Please Wash Your Face merch started, which I do every single year. We do like hoodies, t-shirts, makeup bags, ice rollers. And that's kind of how I was like, okay, you can't just be touching people. You need like an online audience. You need merch. You need stuff that people see. And then that part was cool because people would text me in the grocery store and be like, "Oh my God, look, somebody has a shirt on." And that was like a very cool moment of the brand is being seen.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. So yeah, let's talk about that, about COVID specifically. And so the audience knows, part of my overarching goal here in this conversation is I want to call out some of those threshold moments that you hit where you had to make the choice to either lean in or back off. And I know for myself personally, every time I have the choice to lean in or back off, when I lean in, the grass is greener 100% of the time on the other side. I have yet to make a scary investment into my business or a scary investment into myself. I have yet to bet on myself and not win on the other side of that bet. And so for the audience, my goal for a lot of you is, a lot of you are in a bunch of different phases that Lexi's already been through, that I'm hoping to get some sort of something for you guys to be able to say, oh my gosh, that's me. Yes, I do need to push through. Yes, I do need to, whatever it is. So let's talk a little bit about when you launched in the first place. Obviously, COVID happened right when you launched, but maybe let's also talk about maybe what you were hearing from people around you as you were like prepping to be like, I'm going full all in on being an esthetician. What was the narrative like in your circles, and how are you feeling going in on this?
I mean, I was terrified, but I knew that this is like what I wanted. It was my dream. I obviously quit the corporate world to go and bet fully on myself. It was crazy because people were like, I think you can get out of your lease. Like, you've only been there 4 days. Like, I really think that you should call the landlord and tell him, like, what are you going to do whenever like the mask was lifted or whatever, when you were in like the red,
Yeah.
yellow, and green phase. When we were in the green phase, I think in June, we still weren't allowed to like remove a mask to do a facial. So I was like, how am I going to
Whoa.
pay rent? And you can only do so much with like eyebrows and eyelashes. So I did an online course of eyelash extensions, which I hate. It's so tedious, and like you have to be so OCD, and like you lay it on like one individual lash. But everyone kept saying like, you can walk away. It's okay. Like, you tried. But like you said, with leaning in and betting on yourself, that's when the grass is greener on the other side, because eventually the masks came off. People wanted their peels. Everyone was on FaceTime and Zoom. So they were like, oh my God, I have a wrinkle on my forehead I never noticed before, but I have to stare at every single day on this camera. Or like, my eyebrows look like
Yeah.
Shrek. Like, I need help. I think that that's like,
That
it's
was
like
awesome.
the coolest thing of like sticking it out, and it works. Like, you just have to believe in yourself, and it is a mental game. But I think anytime you start to doubt yourself, I know that sounds so nerdy, but like I love reading like motivational books or podcasts, because there's people that have been doing it for a lot longer than you, and they've failed or they've gone through struggles, and it works. It always works out. If you want it to work, it will work.
That's a great. If you want it to work, it will work. Were there any books or podcasts or anything like that that were super impactful to you, whether it's that time or anything that you're just like, oh man, I always come back to this one.
Ed Milet, The Power of One More, his book. I listen to his podcast all the time, but the book was like one more phone call, one more patient, like just see one more person, because that one more call or one more like lead, or even just going up to one of the other hair salons that were in the Sola salon and just saying like, hey, so sorry to bother you, but like I would love to do a complimentary facial on you so that you can tell your clients about me and I'll give them a discount. And like that one person led to 10 clients. And if I wouldn't have done that, I never would have met those
Wow.
two people. So it was just one more post, one more call, one more like, just keep going, and it'll start, that snowball will start to roll.
Mm, yeah. Now that's also, by the way, a great point that I see a lot of light bulbs go off with people.
Mhm.
Um, I know we were talking about inspiration, but also the referral partner program, going to other hairstylists or going to a Pilates studio or to a dermatologist and say, hey, like I'm an esthetician, and if you refer out esthetician business, I would love to earn that. Is huge, and I see so many people scared of doing that. What were some things that you did in order to build those relationships? You just said, hey, look, I'll give you a free facial, or was there other relational things that you did? What else? How did you build those connections?
I think just like staying top of mind, going to like one gym and making sure that like people knew what you did for a living and making sure to always say hi and be friendly. And it is awkward. Like if you don't know people and you're sitting in a workout class and you're like, oh, like I love your leggings. They're so cute. But like do those small little things to open that conversation so that they get comfortable with you, you're comfortable with them, and then it kind of like leads in. I offered discount cards, I think, referral cards. We still have referral cards. Like if a patient comes in and sends in a friend, they both get a discount just because I feel like you should reward people for sending their buddies your way.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I always say that you should give a discount for one of three reasons. Either somebody's trying something for the first time, they're buying bulk, or loyalty, whether they're members or they're referring friends. So I
Mhm.
think that's an excellent point. Now, when you went from Sola Salon to your own location, what was that transition like?
It
And
was
why did you choose to make that transition?
Yeah, so at the soul salon, they took care of like your insurance and everything like that. So it is a very nice starting point, but the price that you pay for that teeny tiny square footage is kind of insane. So I found a space which I'm in now that was a little bit cheaper. You just had to do a little bit more legwork with going out with the liability insurance and property insurance and everything like that. But I knew that I needed to be more visible. I was in, like I said, that tiny little Sola salon that was inside of a mall. So if someone wasn't going to Pottery Barn, they weren't passing Sola salon. We're here, I'm on the main
Okay.
highway, and literally like Wendy's, Dunkin', Starbucks, and Whole Foods are all within like 10 minutes. So people are driving up
Awesome.
and down. I think it's just the visibility of where your location is very important. And then being by other
Mhm.
businesses that you know you can form relationships with is big too.
Yeah. How often are you hearing people say, "Oh, I drive past you all the time. I wanted to come in."
Yeah, we hear it a lot. We also hear people that come in that are like, I never knew you were here because we don't have like a giant sign. We're in like a little strip mall. But there are people that I guess pay more attention when they drive by versus people that are just la-di-da driving down. But I think it's cool because a lot of it is still based off of referrals, and we have people that even drive like an hour to see my one injector, or I have people that come from Ohio and West Virginia. So if you give a good service, they will drive and they will come.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think excellent business just wins in the end. Like doing things excellently wins. It can be its own marketing channel. There's a lot of like med spas that have been around for 20 years, 15, 20 years. And you'll talk to most of them and you'll say, well, how do you market your business? They're like, we're all word of mouth. And it's like, yeah, at this point, like you have thousands and thousands and thousands at that point too. Sometimes you got to sweat in the beginning to build that list and build that reputation. But then when you have a great reputation of these guys do such a good job,
Mhm.
then it builds on itself. Are you finding that people are starting to recognize the Ageless name rather than the Lexi name? Like, or are you finding that a lot of the referrals are, oh, I really want to see Lexi, or I really want to see that injector?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think all around it's ageless. And then for specific services, like I was at Pure Bar the other day and someone was talking about one of my injectors and like, oh my God, look at my face. Look what I just got done. Like you can't tell, but you can tell. And I look 10 years younger. And then like I ran back and I was like, oh my God, Angel, everyone was talking about you at Pure Bar. And so I think that's cool because
That's awesome.
as a brand and then individually for services. And then I think too, like
Mm,
we still do social media, but then with you, like you've helped us with marketing, and I never did
SEO.
the Google ads before, and I think that that is crushing it right now. So I think that that helps too.
Yeah, the Google ads I think have been really cool for you. SEO, obviously,
Mm.
you're showing up a ton locally, and Yeah, you started really investing into paying for marketing. Was that 2 years ago, year and a half ago that we started working together?
Yeah.
Before that, it was all you kind of doing it yourself, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Now, so you made the primary reason you made the decision was like, look, I am. It's nice that I don't have the liability in this chair, but really, like, I'm losing so much money by being here. So it was a profitable decision to move to the new location. Obviously, you had the bigger headaches. You had to, establish your liability insurance, or had to establish probably a lot of other insurances as well, for the build out. But when did you decide to hire your first employee, and who was it, or what was the role?
Leah was my first employee. She's an esthetician. And I saw this quote one time that will always stick with me. I think it's, if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. And like, I could have gone fast,
Hmm.
but then we never would have gone far. Ageless probably would have like had a stopping point. And you want to be able to
Yeah.
offer all those services. So like, Leah was like my first person, my right hand. If I couldn't be here, she would pick up the slack. Same thing if she couldn't, if she was on vacation, I would take her people. We still very much do that today so that everyone's like very comfortable with who they're with. And then again, like we knew a lot of people were getting Botox and fillers. So that's when we added Jenna on, and we added Liv as another esthetician. And then we added Angel as our other injector. We just hired a practice coordinator. So it's like slowly bringing on like the team, because you work better in a team, you can go further as a team. And I think that starting out, like you're fully betting on yourself, but when you have a team, I feel like you feel more confident because they believe in you, they trust you, and they're kind of giving you that push when you're like, oh shit, am I doing it right? And is this the right decision? And they're like, yeah, we believe in it too. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm not a lunatic. This is gonna work. Like, they get it. They see the vision.
Yeah. So the first handful of employees that you hired, they were all profit building employees, right? They were all practitioners. They all did jobs and made money.
Hmm. Yeah. We all run on commission based, all of us except for our front desk.
Got it. Got it. Got it. When and front desk is also like that that's that practice coordinator position that you were referencing, or
Yes,
is that separate?
that's the same.
Okay.
Hmm.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And so when did you hire that role?
2 weeks ago, so it's still very,
Oh, so
very
fresh. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the first handful were all profit building roles,
Mhm.
which is very, very interesting as you're scaling because it allows you to, especially you're much more limber. I imagine everybody's 100% commission only, or do you give them a base?
100% commission.
Whoa. Okay. So you're paying more in commissions when somebody is really just like living off the commission.
Mhm.
But it gives you way more flexibility as a business where it's like, look, if like you eat what you kill here. Like if you're seeing patients, you're making money. If you're not seeing patients, we can't pay you.
Yeah.
Which is a fascinating way to scale.
And I think too, like, because I've seen the structure where people pay a base and then they pay like a teeny tiny commission. And when
Yep.
you're just commission based, you're able to make more. So I think that like the girls all deserve to make more money than just cap it at right here whenever they can, sky's the limit. They can make what they want to make based on how busy they want their books to be.
I love that. And you're able to keep yourself profitable. I mean, all you have to do is do kind of the equation of, okay, here's the net that we're getting from this procedure, and then here's the breakdown of percentages that we're splitting it off between the person, between the cost of goods and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
Have you broken it down per procedure where like it's or is it a net commission on production?
Per procedure.
Per procedure. So if you do a facial, this is the commission. If you do a chemical peel, this is the commission.
Hmm.
Very cool. So that's a really robust model. Did you build that whole entire thing yourself, or were you? I know you were working with obviously Carrie for a while, or I don't know if you worked with a consultant to build out that compensation model.
So my husband does consulting, so he helps me. Like I was the girl at
Ah.
the dinner table and cried doing my math homework, and he is like, "It's okay, let's put it in Excel." Like, so he has built all to help me figure it all out. And then we sit down and do like the payroll together every 2 weeks and make sure, go through with a fine tooth comb that everything is presented correctly. Because if you pull the data from the base that we use, sometimes things can be wrong or sometimes they're right. So you just have to double, triple check.
So you and him 100% run your own books, or do you have an accountant that runs your books as well?
We have an accountant too, but
Okay,
he,
cool, cool, cool. I was like, dang, you're doing it all.
no, we have some help, thankfully.
Yeah, I bet. Very, very cool. Okay, so you launched during COVID. When you did, 4 days later, they shut you down. Everyone's telling you, stop, give up. And you said, absolutely not. I've got a dream and I know that this can happen. You pushed through. After, what was that? After a year of being in that salon, you wanted to move into your own location, or was that after 2 years?
2 years and then some change just because we had
Change.
to, where we're at now was like an urgent care 15 years ago. So like structurally it was all set up, but like cosmetically it looked like an old creepy hospital. So we had to do
Yeah.
some lipstick renovations.
Of course, of course. I had to make it look pretty and cute. So about 2.5, 2-ish years in to your business, you said, you know what? No, I'm not going to lose this profit anymore. I'm going to own my own thing. What about no getting a medical director, getting an MSO and all of that stuff? What was that like?
That was the most difficult.
And why did you, at what point did you have to do that? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
When I bought 3 years ago when I got my first laser, because God forbid anything happens, like you have to have
Mm,
the protection and everything. But I feel like that's the hardest part because you want someone that is going to answer the phone when you need them or within a reasonable amount of time, and trusting that they are going to be here and help when you need them in a time of need, or even just bouncing questions off of them with devices or how we can treat somebody, like if it's a more advanced case with a scar or something like that.
mm. And you had to build out what's called an MSO for that, right?
Hmm.
For that relationship. What was that process like? And how did you navigate that?
Just a lot of paperwork. I feel like it's a lot of like tedious things. You want to cross your T's and dot your I's, and that's the part of it that I get overwhelmed with because it just like makes me nervous. If you're not going to do something properly, then it can come back. Like I'm not, that's not what I'm passionate about. That's not what I went to school for. So just always making sure that cover your, you cover your seat or whatever the saying is.
Cover your butt. You could say butt. You could say butt on our podcast. Yeah. Yeah, that's so once you got a device, and now I think some people, I feel like our mutual friend Victoria, I think she has a medical director just because she does microneedling.
Hmm.
There's some states that require that you have a medical director even if you have a microneedling device.
Yeah, they're so different. PA is so weird. Like it's such a gray area with things. So I just always like to be extra cautious just because you never know. I know there's
Yeah,
like some
100%.
states that you can literally walk off the streets and inject, which is scary, but it's just different state laws.
Texas had like phlebotomists.
Mm.
Texas, you can go take like a weekend phlebotomy course and then go ahead and start injecting people. It's like, are you kidding? I'll
Yeah.
tell you what though, it's yes, it's a little unhinged here. England, you England, there is no like there's no requirement. Like the only things that they moderate are what are called POMs, prescription only medication, and filler is not considered a POM. And so a waitress at a restaurant could say, you know what, I've got some filler in my backpack. I'll inject this person in the bathroom really quick and sell sell them some filler. It is
Trying.
insane over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
horrifying, horrifying. Now,
Wow.
Palms, you're not even allowed to say Botox on your website because they're like, no, 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 you cannot advertise a prescription only medication. There's like this huge, like,
Yeah.
no way, Botox. But filler, anyway, people get more screwed up from filler than tox.
Yeah. Seriously.
Um, but uh, okay, so when you brought on Jenna was your first injector, right?
Yes.
When you brought on Jenna, what was that? What was that decision? Because you were an esthetician or you were an esthetician only business for so long. When you said, you know what, I'm gonna turn this into a full on med spa, and not just an esthetician clinic. What was that decision like with partnering with an injector?
I think finding the right one, finding someone that has the bedside manner that, because some people it's their first time getting it, they want to know all the education and everything behind it. And I think Jenna's biggest thing was where she was coming from is she wanted to always have continued education. So I always wanted to make sure that the companies that I was buying from or the reps that we were working with, like before we even signed or made an account with them, like how many trainings are you going to give us a year in person and virtually? Like now I have two of the girls, but they both, you learn differently. Some people are more hands on, some people like to watch videos and stuff. So I just always want to make sure that they're the right fit for here where they always want to learn and that they want to take on medical grade skincare. And because when you sit in a chair, you're not just coming for talks or lips. Like they're going to do the full consultation of what are you putting on your skin at night and everything like that. So I think just knowing that we trust each other and that I'll guide them in the right direction and that they know that I'm going to give as much as I possibly can, I think is huge with I don't know, just pulling a new side of the practice or a new service into the practice.
Mhm. Yeah. And did you just decide that one day, or did you maybe know Jenna, or were you just like, you know what, I really want to find a good injector?
I had been getting like talks done and I've had my lips done and I always wanted to bring someone on, but it was just kind of finding that right person. Because some people
Mhm.
would message and they wouldn't have training or, and I wanted it to be someone that had been doing it for a few years so that they knew what they were doing and that they could help me. And she's a PA as well. So it's good to have her too whenever someone's having a reaction that didn't even was not caused by us, but they're like, hey, like, do you mind if I text Jenna and she can kind of look over things, or is this medication gonna interfere with my injections that I'm getting tomorrow or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. So, the journey so far has been, the first couple of years we were in that chair. Then we said, let's make this more profitable and get our own location. And then slowly and steadily, you've just been adding people to the crew. Do you have is it a requirement that they bring their own book of business when they come on, especially if they're commission only? I imagine there's a little bit more of a partnership than obviously you're going to be feeding everybody leads that you're investing into, but is there also like a little bit of give and take since they're so commission heavy?
Yeah, totally. So Jenna came from she injected like probably like 45 minutes away from here. So she did have some people that followed her. But since we had so many clients that were already getting treatments done elsewhere, they kind of migrated over to us. And then again, with leads that you help us generate and everything, that helped. When Angel came, she brought a full book. So I feel like moving forward, if I were to hire another one, probably would require that they have some book of business just because it is hard to build a book. It takes years and I think it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's the hardest thing to stomach is you can get there. It's just it's gonna
Yeah.
take some work.
Now, as a now because you've been the esthetician that has had you have your own book of business, and you've hired estheticians and injectors who have their own book of business. Do you have the fear at all of, or has this happened to you? I can't quite recall, but has this happened to you where somebody has left and brought their book with them, wherever their all their patients just followed them?
Yes, I have the fear. No, it hasn't happened. I think it's always
Mm.
something in the back of your head that you'll fear as a business owner, but I think that it's a risk that you have to take. Um, I
Yeah.
like try truly my best to give them like everything I can, whether it's trainings or a product line or a laser or something like that. Like I want them to be able to have everything in house that they could possibly want. And they all know too that I'm very open to suggestions. Like if one of them comes in and they're like, hey, like I really want to bring on this product line, I'm like, okay, let's figure out who the rep is. Let's have a meeting with them. Let's see if it makes sense. If it does, we bring it on. Um, I don't know. I think if someone left, it would break my heart, but I understand that it happens.
Of course. Yeah. And sometimes people leave for reasons that it's like, okay, yeah, I understand. They have some sort of life change or whatever.
Right, right.
But yeah, that's always something for what I will say is your attitude of like gratitude for every single one of your team members and the amount that you're investing back into them with getting them education, with bargaining on their behalf to these companies, in order to make their work environment safer and more interesting and exciting. I mean, that's how you keep them. You keep them by investing into them. Now, I think in the next 15 to 20 years of you being in business, I'm sure you're going to have some people come and go,
Yeah.
and that's just the nature of it. But you're going to have obviously those rock stars that stay with you for the long haul. There's a lot of clinics I know that like sometimes they'll have somebody come in and then they leave quickly, or but they find those anchors that stay with them for decades.
Yeah, and I think too,
And you're good at building that culture.
thank you. I think the biggest thing is like letting them like have a voice and letting them talk, because like we'll do like check-ins and I'm like, are you okay? Are you happy? Are you unhappy? Like, what do you need from me? How can I help you? Like, I genuinely, what can I do better? And I want them to tell me, like, if they're like, your attitude sucked last week, like you need to like leave at the door whatever's happening outside of work. And I'm like, okay, thanks for checking me on that. Like, I think that you did a great job this week, but I think you could be posting more. So it's very, we all communicate very well. And I think that's very important too, because you need to know if they're happy, if they're unhappy, if they want more. Cause I think that's why people leave, is they can't really give their opinion or something like that. Or if they want to do a training and someone's like, well, we're not going to do that, it's too expensive. I mean, everything within reason, but I think we all deserve to get what we want so that we can all grow together as a team.
Yeah. People take jobs, but they usually quit bosses.
Hmm.
That's from what I found. Most people take jobs but quit bosses. And it's very rare that somebody's like, oh, I just hate the job.
Hmm.
Because if the boss loves them and believes in them, and it's a place where they feel heard and understood, and it's a work environment that they feel like, yeah, you know what, I can thrive here. It's much more rare that people will quit the job. They usually quit the boss.
Hmm.
So when you were, and this would be my last question before we wrap, but when you started paying your employees, I remember this very clear feeling for myself where I started taking on employees where I was cutting some big checks for these people. And
Hmm.
I was like, as I was cutting the checks and I'm seeing our bank account get hit, I just thought, this had better work. I thought paying this person had better work. Do you remember similar feelings as you were hiring employees? Do you remember kind of those first few checks that you cut?
Yeah, I think that the biggest, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but oh shit moment was last year.
Hmm.
We did the expansion and renovation. I bought a house, my husband and I bought a house, and we were getting married, and we brought two more team members on, and there was like some weird slow like lull in the aesthetics world last summer. I didn't pay myself for 3 months, so I was just going out of my savings because like, I mean, and it happens, and you have to know that it happens, and it's gonna be okay, and you're gonna make it through. But yeah, it's terrifying whenever you're cutting checks and just seeing it go down, especially in like the scary months of the aesthetic world.
What do you do in that season? Like, how do you mentally process that? How do you decide to push forward when you're like, it feels like we're going backwards? What do you do?
I think running good promos, I think doing what like a promo that tailors that time of year, whether it's like starting laser hair removal in January because they didn't start in September, or chemical peels because they're not going to be around anyone. It's not the holidays anymore. I think like right after the new year is when you see like a tiny little drop, and they always say like the J months, so January, June, July. But just
Hmm.
prepping yourself for that, prepping your team for that, and knowing like make sure you're booking people out, so that you have that comfortability of okay, there's people on the books, it's going to be okay, and just
Yeah.
kind of pushing through.
Knowing that you're going to make it and knowing that business ebbs and flows in seasons, especially aesthetic clinics. I mean, I think people who know how to look to the future and say, okay, January is coming. How can I prep for this? Or mentally plan for, hey, January is coming. That's going to be my kind of clean up house month where I know we'll be a little slower, and I'm going to plan for the year, and I'm going to build a plan for what February, March, April, May looks like, and then knowing, okay, June, July are coming. What am I doing in March and February to prep for June, July? How am I creating an event that's going to happen? Am I pre-selling promos so that people can purchase that and use it throughout the summer so our schedules stay full? I think asking yourself those questions is awesome. And you've been through, especially, 6 years in business now. You've been through those seasons so many times. I think it's also awkward because you went through a pandemic of your first few years of business, which obviously is not normal. So it's not like, oh yeah, we have the pandemic every year. So it's harder when you're a younger business owner right now to have rhythm. But yeah, I completely agree, knowing that a season will end, where it's like, okay, I know that we're just in a season and we're pushing through to the end. I think oftentimes people think it's very final, and they say, oh my gosh, I'm a failure as a business owner, I'm a failure as a person. They internalize it. And what I'm seeing in you, especially hearing in your story, is you very consistently, when you're faced with adversity, you immediately say, how do I pivot around this thing? How do I pivot around this thing and make it work for me? And even though people around you might be telling you otherwise, it's so cool.
Even when you're in that slow time, you're already, like, as a business owner, you're thinking 6 to 12 months ahead. And I think you always have to stay ahead of it. And I know everyone says, like, be present, but when you own a business, you can't. You kind of have to think of what's going to happen in the next 6 months, because when you get to that 6 months, you're already ahead to the following months of what's going to happen. You're never really in the present of what's going on.
No, yeah. And I think be present in your life, be present for your husband, be present for your friends, be present in your relationships. But being a future planner for your business and being a future planner for your work is the only way you can do it. So I totally agree. Presence is a big thing I've been working on with my kids, just making sure that I am, because the only time that we're guaranteed is this moment right now. The only moment that you're guaranteed is the one you're currently in. And I've been thinking about that a lot recently. But I agree. Future proofing your business, but being present in your life.
Yes.
So this has been, I think, super insightful. I think that everybody in the audience is going to get a ton out of this. I can't tell you how many times I speak with business owners, and whether it's young estheticians or it's business owners that are like on the edge of investing into their business, whether it's investing into marketing so they can scale their leads, or whether they're just investing into adding more employees or building another location. I had a girl I was talking with a couple days ago, and she was like, yeah, I just hired another esthetician full time. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And she goes, yeah, so we split the one room that I have. And I was like, no, I was like, that's one schedule. The room is one schedule. She goes, what? I was like, you have to have 2 rooms if you want more money. And she goes, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. And I was like, so that's your investment, babes. So she's getting that second room. But I see people thinking through that and being teetering on those investments into their business. So I think people are going to get a lot out of your story. And so if you guys are in the audience, if you're in any of those phases, maybe you're a single chair esthetician and you're thinking about, oh my gosh, maybe I should launch my own location, or maybe you've launched your own location. You're like, oh, maybe I should hire more estheticians or injectors or scale into a full-on clinic. I would think you let us know, but if they could DM you, Lexi, is there somewhere that they can DM you?
Of course, yeah. Ageless Skin and Beauty, and then we can always set up a call.
Nice. So go to Ageless Skin and Beauty, DM Lexi if you have any further questions. Thank you so much for joining. This has been so insightful, and I think as people are scaling, them knowing that they need to push through the season. I think the vast majority of struggles people have are all up here and not out here.
Yeah.
So I think you stand as a real inspiration for a lot of people. So thank you so much
Thanks.
thank you. Thanks for joining us. This has been awesome. And thank you everyone who's listening, guys. If you're looking to scale your clinic, if you're looking to get more leads, feel free to send me an email, jared@aestheticconversion.com, or go to our website, aestheticconversion.com. If you want to chat with somebody who has real experience, go to Lexi's Ageless Skin and Beauty, at Ageless Skin and Beauty on Instagram, and send her a DM and just let her know, oh my gosh, I loved your podcast, or oh my gosh, I'm struggling with that too. Like, girl, tell me it's going to be okay.
Always okay.
I've been inspired by you.
Thank you.
It's always, yeah. My mom used to tell me that. She would tell me, Jared, when has it ever not been okay? I'm like, you're right, Mom.
Yep.
You're right, Mom.
Moms are always right.
They are. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and thank you, Lexi, once again
Thank you so
for
much.
joining us.